Good evening, friends. Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026, and today we are breaking down a massive wave of medical and public health news that will impact millions of patients globally. Segment 1, the intro and the biggest stories inside. What if the future of surgery wasn't a massive, separate machine taking up half the room, but a robot built directly into the operating table? And what if your daily chore of injecting low-cost life-saving medications was suddenly threatened by a massive 100% import tariff? Today, we are talking about a historic FDA de novo authorization for surgical robotics, a massive shift in how the US government plans to handle generic drug pricing and manufacturing, a fierce political and regulatory bat-favored anti-aging peptides, and a bizarre clinical trial showing that a common gut laxative might actually cure your depressive brain fog. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on health, tech, and medicine, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's dive straight into our top story. Segment 2, the Ottava Revolution, the next gen of surgical robots. FDA authorizes J&J Ottava robotic surgical system. Our leading story today comes straight from the medical tech space. Johnson & Johnson MedTech just announced that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has officially granted de novo market authorization for its highly anticipated Ottava robotic surgical system. Now, why is this a massive deal? For years, the robotic surgery market has been dominated by large, freestanding consoles that require an immense amount of floor space in the operating room. Ottava completely flips the script. It is the world's first table-integrated soft-tissue robotic system. This means the robotic arms are seamlessly built directly into the surgical table itself. The FDA didn't just approve this for one minor use. They have cleared it for a massive suite of general surgery procedures. We are talking about Roux-en-Y gastric bypasses, sleeve gastrectomies, cholecystectomies, small bowel resections, hernia repairs, and appendectomies. For hospitals, this solves a massive bottleneck, space and setup time. Because it is integrated into the table, it expands what is possible in the OR, allowing surgeons to quickly pivot or adjust during complex procedures. J&J has already scheduled a major investor and clinical briefing for August 3rd to roll out the commercial distribution plan. This is an absolute game-changer that is set to give existing robotic systems a massive run for their money. Segment 3, the generic drug tariff bomb. Trump administration announces generic drug tariffs. August 1, 2026, 0% tariffs, August 2028, 100% tariffs, August 2029, 200% tariffs. Moving from the operating room to your local pharmacy, an economic and political bombshell dropped today that has generic drug manufacturers scrambling. President Donald Trump has announced a major policy shift aimed at forcing drug manufacturing back onto American soil. According to reports verified by KFF Health News and CNBC, the administration plans to implement aggressive tariffs on imported generic drugs. Here is how the timeline works. Starting less than 2 weeks from now, on August 1, 2026, imported generic medications will face zero tariffs for exactly a 2-year grace period. However, come August 2028, a massive 100% import levy will take effect. If companies still haven't moved their factories to the United States by August 2029, that tariff skyrockets to 200%. The administration's goal here is pure economic nationalism, to spur domestic U.S. pharmaceutical production and secure the supply chain. But health economists and patient advocacy groups are raising massive red flags. Millions of Americans rely on low-cost generic drugs imported from places like India and Europe. If manufacturers cannot shift their entire infrastructure to the U.S. within 2 years, the cost of everyday medications, from blood pressure pills to basic antibiotics, could skyrocket, threatening the supply of affordable healthcare. This is going to be a massive corporate and political showdown over the next 24 months. Segment 4, the FDA versus the social media peptide hype. If you spend any time on wellness social media, you've probably heard of peptides. Compounds like BPC-157, Cmax, and clinical life extension peptides are constantly hyped up by influencers for longevity, rapid muscle recovery, and cognitive enhancement. Well, the FDA is about to step in, and it's creating a massive internal war. Tomorrow and Friday, July 23rd and 24th, the FDA's Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee is officially convening to decide whether 7 of these incredibly popular peptides should be banned from legal compounding pharmacies. Here is where it gets dramatic. The FDA's career scientists have reviewed the data and are strongly recommending a complete green light against allowing their compounding. Why? Because they say the data is incredibly sparse. Almost all the hyped-up evidence comes from animal or preclinical trials, with virtually no robust human clinical trials proving they are safe or effective long-term. But there's a political twist. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been a massive, vocal advocate for lifting restrictions on these peptides under his Make America Healthy Again agenda. Just last month, the FDA overhauled the roster of this advisory committee, replacing members with individuals who have ties to the compounding pharmacy and peptide industry. Critics are pointing out massive potential conflicts of interest, while advocates argue that the traditional scientific establishment is ignoring real-world patient benefits. We will know by the end of the week whether your favorite wellness peptides will stay on the market or be pushed to the black market. Segment 5: Clinical Breakthroughs, Biological Clocks and Laxatives for Brain Fog. Now let's talk about some fascinating clinical research published today. First up, a groundbreaking study published on News Medical has cracked open how we measure human aging. Researchers analyzed 5 distinct epigenetic clocks, which measure age acceleration based on chemical changes in your blood DNA. For a long time, scientists thought these clocks all tracked a single, universal aging mechanism. Today's study completely disproved that. They found that different clocks are tied to completely different biological pathways and blood gene expression patterns. Even better, they validated a new testing method called tags, which showed incredibly strong associations with actual age-related diseases and mortality. This means we are getting closer to personalized medicine where a simple blood test can tell you exactly how your specific organs are aging. But that's not all. Our second clinical update today comes from a surprising trial involving depression and brain fog. Published in today's Medical Dialogues Bulletin, researchers found that a drug called prucalopride drastically improved memory, attention, and thinking speed in human trials. What's the catch? Prucalopride is currently prescribed as a gut laxative. It works by activating the 5-HT4 serotonin receptor. It turns out, that receptor isn't just in your stomach, it's heavily present in the brain zones that control cognitive function. Participants took the pill, experienced 0 major stomach issues, but scored significantly higher and faster on memory tests. If you suffer from post-depression brain fog, a gut health medication might just be your future cure. Segment 6: Public Health Alerts, Trump Record Sweeps and Medicaid Freezes. We also have critical public health and regulatory alerts you need to know about today. First, the federal government has officially frozen over $1 billion in Medicaid payments to California and Minnesota. According to U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. The Trump administration blocked more than $867 million in California Medicaid funds alone over suspected fraud. State officials are warning this could cause immediate disruptions in access to care for low-income families, while federal auditors insist they are cracking down on systemic financial mismanagement. At the same time, a major data privacy concern is brewing. The Trump administration's personnel agency announced today that it is launching a massive sweep of medical records across federal programs. While they stated they will remove some identifying personal information, privacy advocates are highly alarmed by the scale of the medical data gathering. Furthermore, in a recent court filing, the administration admitted it has actively gutted over 1,000 research grants at the University of California. The criteria they used? Keywords related to diversity, equity, vaccine hesitancy, and COVID-19. This represents a massive systemic shift in how federal scientific research is funded in America. Segment 7, Quick Roundup, Neat Controversy and Pharma Highlights. Let's wrap up with a quick lightning round of global health news. Severe hypertriglyceridemia breakthrough. Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals reported spectacular top-line results from its Phase 3 Shasta-3 and Shasta-4 clinical trials for their drug plozasiran. The drug successfully crushed triglyceride levels and showed a statistically significant reduction in acute pancreatitis, a condition that can often be fatal. India's medical education crisis. In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi publicly addressed the massive NEET UG medical entrance exam paper leak row, calling it a grave sin, gorpop, and promising strict legal retribution against the culprits, as 13 accused remain in custody. Meanwhile, political parties in states like Tamil Nadu are intensely renewing demands to scrap the centralized NET medical exam altogether. Court rulings on quackery. The Allahabad High Court issued a definitive ruling today stating that practicing modern allopathic medicine with only an electrohomeopathy certificate constitutes illegal medical quackery, protecting patient safety against unqualified practitioners. Alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase, ALP, plays several roles, including bacterial endotoxin detoxification. In this retrospective multi-center study, we could identify that pediatric patients with sepsis had lower sex and age-adjusted ALP values compared to febrile non-septic matched controls, and significantly lower values in AKI versus non-AKI group. These findings suggest that ALP may serve as an additional marker of infection severity and a possible contributor to AKI pathogenesis. Acta Pediatrica. Stress. Stress boosts your body's level of cortisol, the stress hormone. People with type A blood tend to have more cortisol anyway. So you may have a harder time dealing with stressful situations. WebMD. Segment 8, Outro. This is a massive wrap for your daily medical news briefing on this July 22, 2026. From robotic tables changing how surgeries are performed to massive generic drug tariffs changing what you pay at the pharmacy, the landscape of medicine is shifting fast. What do you think about the FDA's upcoming decision on anti-aging peptides? Do you think they should be kept legal, or do you side with the career scientists warning against them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to drop a like if you found this video valuable, share it with a friend in medicine, and hit subscribe for your daily dose of global health tech news. Until tomorrow, stay healthy and stay informed. Disclaimer: compiled information. This content is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional advice. The audience must verify the contents before use. The creator, publisher, and YouTube will not be responsible for any harm.